Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Jim Vernon Solutions, the Learning HTML series using W3 Schools. We're on the HTML editors section of the tutorial. This one is a little bit, for me, a little bit less important to look at the hands-on part of it and just review the idea of HTML editors. What this page points out is that any simple text editor program is fine for editing HTML. It's just plain text, in other words. And there's no real formatting of the HTML itself. HTML itself has a bunch of tags that tells the browser how to format, but your HTML doesn't need to be formatted. And so it advises you to open either Notepad or TextEdit, depending on whether you have a PC or a Mac. Really, if you don't have either of these, if you have any sort of plain, simple text editor, that will do for the HTML. You can write the HTML and store it in a file, and then you can open that file in your browser and it will display as a web page. The one thing I would point out is that a lot of you might not actually use a text editor once you know HTML. You might not use the text editor because there are some pretty good HTML tools from Adobe and elsewhere that I think a lot of people use if they're doing front-end web design, but it's still useful to learn HTML, to learn the elements of it. And the reason is, so those programs sort of make it possible to create HTML without actually knowing HTML, which sounds great, except the problem is if you don't know HTML and something doesn't look quite right with your web page and you're the front-end designer, you really do need to know HTML to be able to troubleshoot and solve problems. So that's really the point that I would make about the editors. I don't think most people actually use a simple text editor. I could be wrong. I'm sure some people do. But true front-end designers often have better tools to do lots of layout quickly because it's time-consuming to type in all the HTML tags. And the HTML tools from, as I mentioned, Adobe and a few other publishers, they work really well for the most part to do all of that formatting for you. But you're going to want to know HTML and cascading style sheets CSS so that you can get stuff done when your tool doesn't quite do things the way you want them to look in the browser. All right, so that's the main point of this lesson for me, and we'll move to HTML Basic in the next part of the series.